Good morning, welcome to another video. It's about 9:30, 10:15 now, and I've got a few hours free. I've got to go about 12:30 to do a bit of fishing. So I've come, as you can probably see, down the Avon. First time down the Avon for absolutely ages. It's been absolutely flooded like crazy. If you've seen my drone video on the other channel, you'll realise just how bad we've had it. It's been as bad as it's been for a very long time. Now it's returning to something like normal levels. I was going to get out perhaps near home. However, I decided to come to this stretch, which is the other side of Stratford, because I knew it'd be a little bit clearer up here. It's relatively coloured still by where I live. But as I say, here it's a little bit clearer, and it is. We've got about a foot or so of visibility, about 18 inches. I've come out to do a bit of trotting. Now that being that, I've got to this swim at the bottom of the stretch here. You look around that way. There was a huge great tree that's been half uprooted, and there was a big branch sticking across the river right in the way. But as you can see, I've just sort of chopped it a little bit and snapped it and got it out of the way. Unfortunately, in doing so, I went absolutely AOT, slipped in all this mud everywhere. It's so muddy. There's not been a frost last night. I went AOT, I got covered in mud. So at least we can do some trotting. It'll be worth it if we catch some fish, won't we? Chub are going to be the targets today. Hope for a nice chub or two, or 5. With that in mind, I've just got my old faithful mashed bread. I've got half a bucket of mashed bread. I've got some bread for the hook as well. And I've got about 2 pints of maggots, if we want to go on maggot, but I think I'm going to stick with the mashed bread. We'll go in here for a bit. We'll give it at least an hour in here, see how we get on. If we're not doing any good, we can go for a row for a bit further up the stretch, but I'd like to stick it out in here if we can. I've been baiting up a little bit whilst I was cutting that little bit of that sapling down, that willow sapling. We'll carry on feeding, and then I'll run you through the gear. I'm afraid when I went flying, I didn't have the camera running, unfortunately. But as you can see, I'm covered. It's like a swamp. It's an absolute swamp. Well, it's been flooded for ages. River's been in the fields, so there's mud everywhere. The track down here is awful. But like I say, if we catch a few, make it worth it, won't it? And the other reason I came is because there's very little wind. Grab my towel. One of the most important parts of fishing with mashed bread is taking a towel with you. Most important bits of kit. Yeah, as I was saying, another reason I came. Very little wind today, so it'll be good for trotting. The river's in a reasonable condition for trotting, but it's not perfect, but it's reasonable. And also we've got a very heavily overcast sky. And that's another reason I've come. The light levels will be low. Right, we'll dribble this in as we get the rod set up, and I'll just run you through what I'm using. So gear-wise, I've got my trusty Dower Tournament Pro 15-foot rod, coupled with my Dower 125M close face reel, courtesy of Stuart at Artisan Angling, who's sent me this reconditioned, well I would say reconditioned, rebuilt 125, as new condition. It's absolutely fantastic. He's certainly going to be getting some of my other ones to sort out, because this one is absolutely wonderful. We'll leave that for the close season, I think, when I don't need them. We'll get them off to him. He provides a reconditioning service as well as being able to buy new ones off him. Right, well, this is going to be fun with all these branches up above us. Could really do with standing down there, but that cuts down our angle. Ideally, as far as the trees go, I should be stood here. Problem with that is I can't see the float a long way down. We'll have to just suck it and see. I think there's a big branch in the way here. We'll have to just keep the rod down. I think we're going to be playing fish like this anyway, so well, hopefully we are. Right, we'll have a couple of more minutes feeding and then we'll get cracking. God, this mashed bread, it does get absolutely everywhere. Now, I'm not in a massive rush to get a cast in. We can give it 5 or 10 minutes just feeding. There's a lot of cover on the inside here, you can probably see. Well, you can if I get out of the way. Runs perhaps 50 metres along there. I think the chubs sit in there, it's just a case of getting them out into the water. And what I've done, knowing this would be a bit coloured, is I've mashed up my bread and I've added to sort of that about 3 dessert spoons of garlic puree. Just give it a bit of smell. And it does smell very garlicky. Fish love garlic, don't they? Especially chub. It's got some fresh garlic in it just to give it a nice smell. Right, I can't resist any longer. I'm going to have a crack. We'll keep feeding, obviously. Depth-wise, I think I want to be about 4 foot to that olivet. It's not a deep section in here. I'll get about do some of these swims as well. I've been wanting to do for weeks and weeks now. I don't think I've fished the Avon for about, well, at least 3 weeks. Just not, you know, I could almost fish it from my front door at one point. I live quite close to the Avon, but I am joking really. We're not in any danger of getting flooded. We're about 10 metres elevated, I'd say, from the river. So it doesn't come anywhere near the house really, but it's been properly flooded. Right, fingers crossed. Hopefully we can have a few nice chub out. A few proper ones. Make it worthwhile doing all that gardening. Well, all the tree surgery. Problem you have here, obviously, you can't really run too far down. If you do, you run the risk of losing all your gear, because the chub are just straight in there and you haven't really got an angle to stop them. So it's a case really of trying to pull them out and then sort of fishing from the middle of the river. Then you've got sort of at least a bit of a chance. See, this is the problem. I can't bait up with all these trees here. I think I might have to give in and come down here. So I can't actually get my rod up to... God, this is very awkward. I don't remember it being like this. I think this, oh it has. This tree's come down a bit. And that's the issue in the floods. Doing a lot of trotting. If you've seen the previous videos, or we've done a couple of sessions trotting on a tributary of the Avon, the Stour, Warwickshire Stour. It's been very enjoyable. You're never really going to catch a big one up there. If you catch a 4-pounder up there, it's an absolute beast. I've never caught them myself, but they are around. So it's nice to come and do a bit on the Avon, knowing that we got a chance of a 5, to be honest. Yeah, I'm still tripping a little bit there. I'm going to resist the temptation to let this just run all the way down, because we're just going to lose gear, not to mention leave gear in fish. So I'm going to run down as far as I think is safe, which is probably 25 metres, something like that. Quite often, if you have got snags on the inside and you can walk down to them, you know, it's a lot better. But if I have a chub here, kite in the other side of this snag, there's nothing I can do to go and get it. Like I say, we'll give it a good hour in here. It might take that long to get these fish out and moving. And if we haven't got them out and moving in an hour, I would think we're probably not going to. They're probably going to stay under the cover. Quite moody, the fish in the Avon, chub. And just sometimes it's not interested at all. Well, chub everywhere, isn't it? Sometimes they're absolutely ravenous. Other times they're just not interested. Well, that's a fish. Look at that. Call this pull it. I need him to stay out in the river. He's going over the other side, that's good. Blimey, that didn't take long. Feels a reasonable fish. He's not beasting me. I'm quite glad, to be honest, in the swim. And he's coming up the middle of the river, which is ideal. We're just dragging bottom. I could just see the Olivet tripping along the bottom. You see the float trying to pull under. And then under it went. I did think it was the bottom. Give a strike anyway. Well, he's just plodding, like big fish tend to do. Like I say, he's no monster, but that's absolutely fantastic. If we can get him in. He's just staying deep. God, that's it. Do all your fighting up here. God, he's not giving up. Well, he's no monster at all, but he's a lovely fish. Certainly rather catch him than not. Got pulling that flow. No, he's not a big one at all. Cracking, got him. We're off the mark in about 10 minutes as well. That's wonderful. Well, there we go. Lovely young looking fish. Got a big belly on him and he's definitely in good winter condition. Wonderful. Got a belly like me. Fantastic. That's great. Right. Hopefully we can have a few more. That's brilliant. Well, it would seem they like the old garlic mash. They seem to be up for a feed as well. It's great. I say we've only been fishing 10 minutes if that. I bet I haven't had 10 runs through yet. Great that he stayed out in the current as well. Didn't dive for the edge. I'm not holding this back at the moment. I'm just letting it go through at the speed of the flow. If things get a bit tricky, we'll perhaps try holding it back. Not ideal really when you're fishing bread, holding back, 'cause it puts a lot of pressure on the bread flake and it often comes off. You feel it come off. Yeah, so now I've got a feel for this swim. What we've got is it runs along here to just past this snag, and then there's something on the bottom which it trips on. And then it sort of rides over that. And then after that the Olivet's just dragging on the bottom. And that's where we had that bite. I don't know if it's a weed bed in there or something, or just shallows up a little bit. Not sure. Just starts to trip under a little bit there. It's just trying to pull under, but the float is just buoyant enough to drag the Olivet along. So we know that bit of bread flake's trundling along pretty near the bottom. Oh, this wind's picking up a bit. It's off our back, so fortunately, so it's not really going to affect things. All it's going to do really is push the line out further across the river, which is what we want anyway. Surprised we've not had another bite since we've had that fish. Thought perhaps if they were out and feeding, we might have had another one. It's been 10 minutes or so. We may have just spooked them all. That may be it. I wouldn't think so. I'll give it 5 minutes or so without casting, just to feed without putting a bait in, just to try and get the confidence back. Unlike the fish at the Stour though, they're a bit naive. These fish know they get fished for. They're not daft. There's certainly no mugs. We're in. Got us a long way down. Stay out, stay out. Oh, he's kiting it. Out, 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 out. Oh, he's going out again. Just about to bring it back. So it's quite a way down the swim. Heart in mouth moments. Oh, he's headed in. We need to make on him, otherwise he's going to do us. Well, not very graceful, but I'm going to give him a bit, because he was trying to get in those, all the way up, he was trying to get in that, those snags. I think we got him past. Hairy moments. Well, he's another reasonable fish, no monster. God, they pull in this flow. Not easy with all these trees above. Well, he's no monster, as I said. Steering it, got him. Cracking. That was hairy. There we are, similar stamp but slightly smaller belly on this one. Very recognisable orange patch on his side too. Fantastic, I'm loving this. Wonderful. Well, it's certainly very enjoyable, and we're catching some fish. It's cracking. It's not easy, they're not crawling up the line, but certainly bites are there. I think they're in one of those sort of in-betweeny moods where they're a bit hungry, but They're not ravenous. They're not just grabbing everything that goes down the swim. I've watched them stretch the Avon by me when you're fishing floating crust. I'll come up and just push it where their nose is and inspect it, whereas other times they'll just wolf it down. They seem to be in a slightly cautious frame of mind today. What I found at the Stour, I've seen in the previous videos I mentioned it, is where the fields have all been flooded at the Stour. What I found is the fish are just full of worms. I think they've had a right good feed up. Presumably all the worms have come out their holes, you know, out of the fields, so they don't drown, or in an attempt not to drown. And they've been washed down the rivers, and fish have had a right good feed up. Certainly at the Stour, that's what happened. Certainly from the fish I caught, anyway. They were actually full of worms and very, very fat. They certainly haven't been going hungry. I guess all sorts of stuff gets washed in though. When the floods, all sorts of stuff off the fields. Food-wise, I'm talking. You know, grubs and, I don't know, perhaps beetle larvae that are buried in the soil, or all sorts of everything, I guess. Right, I think we'll make this the last run through in this swim. I've got about an hour and a quarter left. So by the time we've had a move, we can spend either half an hour in a couple of swims or an hour in one before we need to go. Dad taxi duties. Well, how's about that? Cracking brace of chub from this swim. Wonderful stuff. Right, we'll get them back. Back to fight another day. Lovely conditioned fish as well. Absolutely cracking. Huh, doesn't want to leave me. Go on, off you go. Gone. Wonderful. Right, last swim. We've done a few other swims, as you've seen, without any joy. Not so much of a sniff. We're fishing sort of this little offshoot at the moment, whereas we started off on the main river. Well, I don't seem to be that interested in here. We've got about 20 minutes left though. We'll have a go in this nice run through here. See if we can winkle anything out. Finish on a fish perhaps. That's gonna end up. Alright, blimey, look at that first run through. Well, that's crazy. Doesn't feel massive. I literally first run through, I thought we had the bottom. Oh, I don't want to come in this fast water. Blimey. Well, he's a bit bigger than the chublet, but not much bigger. But there's some fish here, clearly. God, I've not even extended my landing net. There we go. Right. As I say, that was literally first run through. one is your great-great-great-great-grandmother. Little chap. Well, it's another fish, isn't it? I think he is a chublet, just about. I tend to say they're a chublet when you can't lift them out. I'm not going to lift that out, certainly. That was my telephone call to say, Dad, can you pick me up? Which I knew was coming, so I've got to go. And of course, one more cast. Gotta have one more cast, haven't I? Just on the off chance. But this sort of side channel off the Avon has been not productive at all today, really. Can often be really good. Had some cracking catches. You get the river just right, but it's still a little bit high, I think. Unfortunately. No, that's it. I need to go. Fatherly duties call. Now I'm not going to be able to get out, I don't think. Possibly maybe doing an early morning session, but I'll have to suss out exactly what condition the Avon's in near home. I don't think I'm going to be able to get out over the weekend, but it'll probably be early next week now by the time I get out. And I think the river near where I live will be in a cracking condition by then. It will have dropped a bit, it'll have cleared a little bit, and I think it'll be in really good nick. So I think we'll plan to get out then, and we'll perhaps try and get after some perch, do some chub fishing as well, of course, and perhaps a bit of all-round sort of maggot fishing, see what we can catch, perhaps some roach, dace, etc. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Tight lines, enjoy your own angling. Many thanks to the channel patrons for your fantastic support, and I'll see you again very soon.